Hi, good evening, everyone. So, beta, in today's class, we are going to go ahead and talk about the marginal rate of substitution, also called as MRS. शायद आपने पहले MRS के बारे में सुना होगा. You might have heard about it. But देखो, rate of substitution. Rate of substitution. मतलब the consumer is willing to substitute one good for another. Consumer is willing to substitute one good for another. इसीलिए इसको बोला गया rate of substitution. That is why it is called as the rate of substitution. So what do we go ahead and what do we do, beta? देखो ध्यान से. I am going ahead and taking an indifference curve. Good 1, good 2. And I am going ahead and drawing the slope of indifference curve. Slope कैसे किसी भी curve का बताते हैं? How do we draw the slope of anything? To understand the slope of a curve, अगर मुझे किसी curve का slope निकालना है, we will draw a line tangent to the curve. If I want to understand the slope of any curve, अगर मुझे किसी भी curve का slope जानना है, I will draw a line tangent to the curve. So I am drawing a line tangent to this curve. Slope is defined as perpendicular by base. Change in perpendicular by change in base. So change in good 2 by change in good 1. And this slope of indifference curve, IC के slope को बोला जाता है MRS. That is called as MRS. So what is the slope of indifference curve? It is called as MRS XY. MRS XY. What is MRS XY, beta? It is change in X2 by change in X1. That means, how do I define this thing, beta? The amount of good 2 consumer is willing to give up for an additional unit of good 1. Amount of good 2 consumer is willing to give up. कितना good 2 consumer देना चाह रहा है? एक extra good 1 के लिए for an additional unit of good 1 holding utility constant. Holding utility constant. देखो ध्यान से जरा, listen to me. Suppose, beta, this is my indifference curve. This is my utility function. This is good x. ये good x है. This is good y. Now consider I am on point A. मैं point A पर हूँ. At point A, suppose I give some form to the utility function. Suppose मैं कह दूँ my utility is amount of good x into amount of good y. ऐसे मैंने define कर दिया that utility is amount of good x into amount of good y. And I am holding utility constant at 4. So when I have 1 unit of good x and 4 units of good y, then I get my utility at 1 into 4. It means 4. Clear? बेटा नाउ आई मूव टू पॉइंट बी. पॉइंट बी पे अमाउंट ऑफ गुड एक्स हो गया 2 और अमाउंट ऑफ गुड वाई भी हो गया 2. तो व्हाट इज यूटिलिटी? पॉइंट ए पे देखो, पॉइंट ए पे x इज 1, y इज 4, सो 1 into 4 4. बेटा पॉइंट बी पे x इज 2, y इज 2, 2 into 2 4. पॉइंट सी पे x इज 4 सपोज and y is 1. x is 4, y is 1. तो ये हो गया 4. सपोज मैं एक बीच में आई टेक वन मोर पॉइंट बेटा, आई विल मेक दिस एज पॉइंट डी. इसको डी बना देते हैं और यहां पे आई एम जस्ट राइटिंग डी हियर. यहां कहीं पे आई हैव पॉइंट सी बेटा. एट पॉइंट सी x is basically 4 by 3 and y is 3, so utility is 4. X is 4 by 3 and y is 3 and utility is 4. Clear है बात को? या रिवर्स इट, x को हम 3 ले लेते हैं, सॉरी x is 3, y is 4 by 3, utility is 4. तो ये हो गया 3 and here I have 4 by 3. ठीक है. So what is 4 divided by 3 बेटा? 1.3. 1.33333 है ना. तो I have just written, या तो उसको 4 by 3 ही लिख लो या 1.3333 लिख लो यहाँ पे 1.33. क्लियर? तो अब लिसन टू मी. पॉइंट ए का कोऑर्डिनेट्स है 1,4. पॉइंट बी का कोऑर्डिनेट है 2,2. पॉइंट सी कोऑर्डिनेट इज 3,1.33. पॉइंट डी कोऑर्डिनेट इज 4,1. क्लियर? आई एम राइटिंग दिस. पॉइंट ए पे हाउ मच एक्स यू हैव? 1. हाउ मच वाई यू हैव? 4. व्हाट इज यूटिलिटी? 1 into 4 4. पॉइंट बी पे हाउ मच एक्स यू हैव बेटा? 2. वाई कितना है? 2. x is 2, y is 2. Utility is 2 into 2 4. What is the amount of good y you are giving up for an extra unit of x? When you increased x by 1 unit, how much y have you given up? 2 units. 2 minus 4. दे रहे हो, you are giving up. So I am putting a negative sign to show you are giving up. Here you are getting. From 1 you are going to 2. ले रहे हो, you are taking 1 unit, right? So plus 1. So when you are giving up 1 unit, minus when you are taking a unit, plus. So here I have increased consumption of good x, plus. I have decreased consumption of good y, minus. So this is going to be minus 2 by plus 1. That means beta minus 2. Okay, point C now. At point C, what is the amount of good x? 3 units. What is the amount of good y? 1.33 units. I am again increasing the consumption of good x. I am decreasing consumption of good y. How much good y is decreasing? Minus 0.67. How much x is increasing? 1. So earlier I am giving up 2 units of good y. Now I am giving up 0.67 units of good y. Now see point D beta. D point pe I have 4 units of x and 1 unit of y. So 4 and 1. So how much y I am giving up for extra unit of x? I am giving up only 0.33 units of y. इतने से ही तो कम किया y को. And I am increasing x by 1 unit. So I am giving up 0.33 units of y. So how much y I am giving up for an extra unit of x? कितना y हम दे रहे हैं x के एक एक्स्ट्रा यूनिट के लिए उसी को हमने मार्जिनल रेट ऑफ सब्स्टिट्यूशन बोला है. दैट इज व्हाट वी आर कॉलिंग एज MRS, marginal rate of substitution. Is this clear? Absolutely clear to everyone. So here, how much y I am giving up? 2 units for 1 unit of x, perpendicular by base. How much y I am giving up for 1 unit of x? How much y I am giving up for 1 unit of x, and so on and so forth, right? How much y you are giving up for 1 unit of x, right? Now, please listen to me. Write down. MRS can be considered as the trade-off that consumer places on the two goods. The trade-off placed by the consumer on the two goods. कि एक गुड को बढ़ाने के लिए दूसरा मैं कितना छोड़ूं so that I get the same level of utility, right? The rate at which I am willing to give up maximum 2 units of good y for 1 unit of good x. Maximum कितना देना चाह रहे हैं यहाँ पे? 0.67 units of good y for 1 unit of good x. So how much am I willing to give up, right, for an extra unit of good x? That is MRS, right? If you ask me to give more than 2 units of good y, अगर आप बोलोगे कि क्या 3 यूनिट दोगे, I will say no. Will you give more than 0.67 units here? I will say no. So this is the maximum good y that I am willing to give up. इससे ज्यादा good y I will not be giving up, right? This is the maximum amount of good y that I am willing to give up for an extra unit of good x. Is this clear to everyone? So please write down. It can also be said that MRS also measures the marginal willingness to pay of the consumer. तो हम ऐसे भी बोल सकते हैं कि जो हमारा MRS है वो कंज्यूमर का मार्जिनल विलिंगनेस टू पे बताता है. वो ये बताता है कि कंज्यूमर एक एक्स्ट्रा गुड एक्स के लिए कितना पे करना चाहेगा गुड वाई के टर्म्स में. हाउ मच विल ही बी विलिंग टू पे इन टर्म्स ऑफ गुड वाई फॉर एन एक्स्ट्रा यूनिट ऑफ गुड एक्स. अच्छा, नाउ टेल मी समथिंग. सपोज बेटा आई गो अहेड and I take good x here. Suppose good x is, let's say books. And I take good y here. And beta good y is money spent on all other goods. Money spent on all other goods. जो भी पैसा हम बाकी सब goods पे खर्च कर रहे हैं, that is good y. बेटा मैंने यहाँ पे एक इंडिफरेंस कर्व प्लॉट कर दिया है. I've plotted an indifference curve here. अच्छा, now tell me something. When I go from point A to point B, so what is the slope? What is MRS telling me? Change in good y upon change in good x. What is change in good x? Change in the number of books. What is change in good y? The change in the amount of money spent. तो अब ये क्या हो गया? It is telling me that if I want to increase my books from 1 to 2, अगर मुझे अपनी books 1 से 2 करनी है, if I want to increase the consumption of books, तो मेरे को कितना पैसा देने का मन है? How much money I am leaving? मैं बाकी goods पे पहले 4 रुपए खर्च कर रही थी. Point A tells me that I am consuming 1 book and 4 rupees on other goods. and point B is telling me that I have 2 books and I am spending 2 rupees on other goods. और इन दोनों से ही आई एम गेटिंग द सेम यूटिलिटी, मुझे सेम आईसी पर है, दे आर गिविंग मी सेम यूटिलिटी. सो टू इंक्रीज द कंजम्पशन ऑफ बुक, हाउ मच मनी एम आई विलिंग टू गिव अप ऑन अदर गुड्स, कितना कम पैसा मैं दूसरे गुड्स पे खर्च कर रही हूँ. आई एम विलिंग टू गिव अप 2 रुपीज, मैं 2 रुपए कम खर्च करूंगी बाकी गुड्स पे ताकि मैं एक बुक एक्स्ट्रा पढ़ पाऊं. राइट, सो दिस कैन ऑल्सो बी सेड लाइक द मार्जिनल विलिंगनेस टू पे. Right, this can be said as marginal willingness to pay. So we can say that now it represents the amount of money consumer is willing to give up on other goods for extra unit of good X. एक एक्स्ट्रा गुड एक्स के लिए हम बाकी गुड्स पे कितना कम खर्च करने के लिए रेडी हैं. हाउ मच एम आई विलिंग टू स्पेंड लेस ऑन द अदर गुड्स, दैट कैन बी कॉल्ड एज एमआरएस. क्लियर हुई बात? आई होप द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ एमआरएस इज क्लियर टू ऑल ऑफ यू. ठीक है बेटा, होमवर्क क्वेश्चन. सो इफ गुड 1 इज न्यूट्रल गुड, ठीक है, find MRS for good 2, where good 2, give me a minute, pen got discharged, 1 second, where good 2 is normal good. So good 1 is taken as neutral good, good 2 is taken as normal good, और इस केस में आपको मुझे बताना है what will be the MRS. You need to tell me what will be MRS. Homework question बेटा. Okay? Okay बेटा.